Hey guys, hey everyone on Facebook. This is Adam Hammond with Denver 7. I am talking to you guys here from the Gary Johnson for President rally in Parker, Colorado, here in the swing state of Colorado. We just wrapped up an interview with him. It's super loud in here. I'm trying to keep this kind of close so you guys can hear me, but I want to show you around. We're at the University of Colorado, South Denver, here in Parker. Huge crowd, bigger crowd turned out than they expected. I'm going to give you a look around. Again, standing room only here, very big crowd. And another big aspect to this, a lot of millennials and young people here today. Millennials making up a lot of the new people moving to Colorado, moving to Denver, and one of the fastest growing populations here. And millennials now, they have as big a voting bloc as the baby boomers. But the only question is, will the millennials actually turn out at the same rate the baby boomers turn out? Because baby boomers vote at about a 70% rate, whereas millennials is more in the 20s. So that could be a deciding factor here in this race. Gary Johnson polling pretty well here in Colorado. He's in the teens right now. I talked to him about that just a little bit ago. He said that it's great, and that people are waking up to the fact that there's more options out there than the two parties. Him being a libertarian, he thinks more people in America actually fall in line with the Libertarian Party, more people being fiscally conservative and socially, as he called it, inclusive, being a little more socially liberal as the platform goes for the Libertarians. So what do you think about that? Tell me what you think about Gary Johnson. He's polling very well with active military. I just spoke with a veteran a little bit ago who is all in for Gary Johnson. He says that there's no other choice for him. Gary Johnson is it because he is not into nation building. He wants to get in, get out, only get involved in things that are, of the utmost necessity. And Gary Johnson was a Republican governor in a border state, New Mexico, right here below us in Colorado, for a long time, for 2 terms, I believe. And so he was very excited. Michael Smith says after listening to this guy try and ramble his way through interviews, I feel even worse about this election. Okay, Michael, I told him about that. I asked him about Aleppo. Of course, they asked him what he thought about Aleppo. He says, what is Aleppo? That's where the Syrian crisis is taking place right now. And then last week he was asked if there was a foreign leader that he looked up to. He couldn't answer that question. He was meaning to say Vicente Fox, but he couldn't remember the name. So I asked him about that, and I said, is that a disqualifying factor for someone with your political experience, and then you can't name those things? Is that disqualifying? He got a little heated, and he said, no, not at all. But tonight at 10, we'll have that full interview. But we just wrapped up our interview with Gary Johnson. We want to bring you here to his rally. If you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. Share this, get the word out. I want to show you this crowd here. Huge crowd at CU South Denver. Take a look. And one of the things that we're really interested in here is the young turnout. A lot of young people going over to Johnson and Weld. I'm not sure if you saw their 60 Minutes interview a few weeks ago. It was pretty enlightening. Let me know what you think about his candidacy. What do you think about Gary Johnson and his running mate, Weld, who was the governor of Massachusetts? They're coming in. I'm going to flip it around so you can see. We're going to try to hang into this rally the whole time. Again, so they're doing the thanks right now, but we're here. We just wrapped up our interview with Gary Johnson, and we're going to try to bring you this rally in its entirety here in Parker, Colorado. A big swing state, a lot of young people flocking to his campaign. He's polling in the teens right now, so he really could be a factor in this election coming up in November.
Featured on his Snapchat. If you have not registered to volunteer with the campaign and you would like to do so, we have a huge need to make callers to all the voters across the state of Colorado. You can just find us on
I don't want to be rude while she's talking, but let's go ask people some questions. Hold on a second. Hey, how's it going? Can I ask you for just a second? Why are you here tonight?
I want to support Gary Johnson, the same candidate for presidency.
Awesome. Why do you support Gary Johnson?
I like his social policy, I like his fiscal policy. He seems to be the same candidate out of the three.
Okay, and a big question here. I'm with Channel 7, sorry. I like jump up on it. A lot of people are saying it's a waste of a vote. Do you feel like you're throwing your vote away?
They told me I wasted my vote in 2012, and now we have the Libertarian candidate on the ballot in all 50 states. I'm not wasting anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great job. Hey, how's it going? Can I ask you, what are you doing here tonight?
Because I don't like either of the two candidates that are running, representing the Republican Party. I've traditionally been a Republican, and I can't see myself voting for Hillary Clinton. So I'd rather waste my vote than vote for either one of those.
Awesome. And this is the fifth person that I've talked to tonight who said, I'm fed up and I can't vote for the other people. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to give you a look from the floor here, from what everyone's seeing here on the floor of the Gary Johnson rally. Hey, can I ask you, what are you doing here today?
Assisting all of you.
Huh?
Assisting everybody.
Oh, good. Are you a volunteer? Okay, cool. Why did you want to volunteer for this?
To learn more about what's needed, what's necessary, and how we accomplish those goals.
Are you a decided voter, or are you undecided?
I am on tour with the Liberty Tour.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to take you back up on the podium to take a look at this rally. If I can get up here. Okay.
And I'm tired of the left of the kept promises of a president who promised that he would pass an immigration reform, and he has deported more immigrants than the last 19 presidents put together. And now Hillary is promising again that she will promote immigration reform. It's impossible for me to support Hillary Clinton. What about you? My friends of the right, and you're going to have to be patient with me, Libertarian brothers and sisters. I'm new to you, okay? I come from the Republican Party. I've been with them forever, and I finally found my way through Gary Johnson, so be me. Republican brothers and sisters telling me, but if you're supporting Gary Johnson, you're helping Hillary. No, I'm not. And I'm sick and tired of my Democrat friends, and I have many of those too. You're going to help that guy named Trump to win. That's not true. I am going to support, and I am supporting Gary Johnson passionately every day from now on till the day of the elections. My son-in-law's here. My daughter was at the past one. I now have a grandson. Thank you. I don't want my grandson to remember me as an individual who sold himself, who was maybe like those people in the 70s who did not support African Americans being able to have all the liberties. Maybe even being like some of those with the hose one day with the dogs against Hispanics, against African Americans. My grandson's not going to remember me like that. My grandson's going to remember me that I stood up for the honorable thing. I stood up with integrity today, and I'm going to support the Libertarian Gary Johnson. I'm so passionate about this. The day that my Republican Party decided to accept that gentleman, that individual, as the candidate, I promise you, the same day, I had the honor, just perchance, maybe divine intervention, I don't know, the same day, across the street from the Republican convention, a gentleman honored me by meeting me and inviting me to his campaign. The same day, Gary Johnson.
Right now we're hearing from the Hispanics for Johnson president. He's speaking here, former Republican, about why he can no longer support a Republican candidate. He's speaking here tonight as they get ready to introduce Gary Johnson.
To his son. Gary Johnson, come here!
Hello everyone, my name is Eric. I'm Gary's son and fellow Colorado resident for 10 years, along with my beautiful wife Lauren and our daughter Cora. You know what? We actually drove up with my father. We were down in the Balloon Fiesta down to Albuquerque over the weekend. It just happened to be that he was flying into town and then having this rally here, so we got to drive up with him. And my wife turned towards him and said, you know, Gary, what's your favorite place you've been throughout the entire United States? Where's the most energy? Where have you loved being on the campaign trail? And his answer, Denver, Colorado. Aside from my family being here and being able to visit us, is the beautiful area of Colorado. The fact that we took a litmus test of legalizing marijuana, which I think just says volumes about understanding personal freedom and liberty in this country, and recognizing that we can do whatever the hell we want to do. Now, being a son, the biggest question every reporter is...
So we just wrapped up our one-on-one interview with Gary Johnson, and right now we're listening to his son speak at a rally in Parker, Colorado.
The same guy. And I'm saying that because he doesn't pander to a crowd. He's not going to give one message to you, a different message to another group. He's had the same principled message his entire life. When I was young, I was 12 years old when he ran for governor. I didn't even know what the heck was going on at that time. I didn't really understand the complexity of even being a governor meant. But as far as I knew, my father was just my hero in life. He was a gentleman that volunteered in my Cub Scout group, that helped me out with my baseball team. He was an athlete, an entrepreneur. That's who I knew my father as, and even once he was governor, I hated the term politician. I think there's a negative connotation with that word, that we think of someone that sold their soul in order to get into office, or gave away political promises in order to get where they were. And he was a gentleman that was a businessman that paid for his own campaign the first time around, and did and said what he was going to do regardless of the political consequences. And that's why I loved and respected my father being in office. So much so that when he would come home, I used to always ask him questions about what would happen with work. And I think my favorite stories are the times where people would storm into his office and said, Governor, I gave you $30,000 during your campaign run, and you vetoed my bill. And my father would laugh and said, that bill was highway robbery. I figured it had to have been yours. Would pull out his checkbook and say, let me write a refund for you right here on the spot. He's a guy that grew his 1,000-person employee business from being a door-to-door handyman, going around doing different jobs, doing a simple thing, which was doing what he said he was going to do, showing up on time, doing more than what he'd say he'd do for people. And that's how he succeeded in business, and that's how he succeeded being as a governor, too. But right now, he's in the biggest fight of his life. And I'm not sure you probably heard this. A particular campaign, Hillary's in particular, rumor has it they're spending $55 million against him to try and discredit him And the best part about it, what did they come up with? A couple brain farts. That's what they're running on. They're running on sound bites, cut down to try and make him look goofy, try and make him look dumb. And you know what? I'd rather have someone who goofs on someone's name rather than someone who can't remember a single name of a woman or child, innocent woman or child that was killed in drone strikes with my tax dollars abroad. I'd rather have someone who brain farts on someone's name rather than someone who can't name a single African American, one of millions that have been imprisoned in this country because they're a super predator, because her husband decided that they need to be tough on crime, especially when it comes to our drug laws in the United States. So again, he's in the biggest fight of his life. And I'm sure you probably heard too, the man's climbed Mount Everest. And not just climbing Mount Everest, a month before.
Hey guys, so we're right here in Parker, Colorado at a Gary Johnson rally. We just wrapped up our one-on-one interview with him a little bit ago. Right now his son is speaking, really just offering up a big line of attacks against Hillary Clinton right now. We're going to rejoin his son speaking right now.
And that's what. And he went to that mountain and he took one step at a time and ended up summiting Mount Everest. But that story is an analogy as to what's happening right now. He's having to take one step at a time because he has to start at the bottom of that mountain and all odds are against him. And there are two candidates ahead of him up on the mountain, and they're only there because they were held backed up there. Because they had an advantage that he didn't have. And right now, they are gasping for breath. And looking over their shoulders and seeing one man coming up behind them one step at a time. Who is the man you're going to see on stage? What is he like off stage? It's the same person. He's a man that's fought for everything that he's owned. He's taken one step at a time. If you meet him, he's the gentleman who waits in line, who has the humility to admit when he's wrong, to ask questions when he doesn't know. But he's the man who has the experience, who has the life experience to be able to do an amazing job at this. And again, he's in the biggest fight that he's had to date. But together with all of us, we're going to be able to fight back against this. Right now, there are certain messages out there and they want to tear him down as much as possible. They want to try and convince you and all of your friends that you have a wasted vote, that this is a protest vote, that you're not smart enough to understand who you really want to vote for. And according to Nancy Pelosi, you're voting for him because he has great hair. According to news reports, it's because he just wants to smoke pot. Which, you know what? Even if he does, who cares? So at this time, I want to introduce you to my personal hero, my father, former governor of New Mexico, a man with 9.75 toes from frostbite on Everest. Gary Johnson, your 2016...
and they make fun of you, then they attack you, and then you win. And right now, they are attacking. And you know what makes me mad? Is they're attacking me on dotting the I's and crossing the T's on some geographic locations or some names when it comes to let's turn this thing around and attack them for what they've done from a foreign policy standpoint that has put our military in harm's way, our men and servicewomen who are dying, who are getting hurt and maimed or psychologically injured for the rest of their lives. The fact that we put our military in situations where there are hundreds of thousands of innocent people being killed in a crossfire that our military doesn't want any part of in any way whatsoever. Because this is how we judge our leaders, is because they can answer these certain questions, then they can put us in a situation like Aleppo, where on the west side of Aleppo we've got Assad. On the east side of Aleppo we have the Free Syrian Army that we support, but they're allied with the Islamists that we don't support. We arm the Free Syrian Army. Those arms end up in the Islamists' hands, something that we don't want. Raqqa, Saddam's henchman that fled Iraq because of our invasion of Iraq and organized what became ISIS. We didn't even hear about ISIS until a couple of years ago. We're supporting the Kurds against ISIS, but the Kurds are sideways with our Turkish allies, which aren't such good allies since we invaded Iraq in the first place. And then before any of this happened, the Bush administration supported Assad against the Islamists, against those. You can't make this up. And this is what we're doing. And because of the situation, because of the politics, because we only have two choices in all of this, it is really the lesser of two evils, is what it amounts to. I would love to see the Presidential Debate Commission made up of Democrats and Republicans on the Presidential Debate Commission. They have Democrats and Republicans, and they have no intention whatsoever of seeing a third party on that debate stage. Do you realize that right now, and this is a shock to me, I am actually polling higher than Ross Perot was polling before. When somebody says to you that you are wasting your vote, how is there not a more wasted vote than voting for somebody you don't believe in? That is a waste. How about demanding a poll that goes like this? First question, who are you going to vote for? Johnson, Trump, or Clinton? How about the second question? Who are you going to vote for? Trump or Johnson? How about the third question? Clinton or Johnson? I guarantee you that if that poll were conducted, that would be an eye-opener for America. 50% of Americans right now, when they are going to register to vote, are registering as independent. Where is the representation of the independent vote? Right now, I am leading among independents in this country, which I think is beyond my wildest dreams. My running mate is Bill Weld. Bill was my role model
as governor of New Mexico, we intersected. He served one term. We served our second terms together. But let me refresh your memory that in 1997, Bill Weld was nominated to be ambassador to Mexico. And Jesse Helms blocked his nomination because Bill Weld was pro-choice, he was pro-gay rights, and he was pro-medical marijuana in 1997. Fiscally conservative, socially inclusive, add on to that skeptical of these military interventions, regime change, add on to that free trade, that results in more U.S. jobs, not less U.S. jobs. I think that is representative of 60% of America. Right now, Bill Weld and I, as the Libertarian nominees for president, are in this big 6-lane highway down the middle that is reflective of most Americans. Advice here today, and my advice is worth exactly what you pay for it, which is nothing. But my advice is that whatever it is that you know, whatever it is that you do, apply it entrepreneurially. There will never be a bigger reward than taking what it is that you do know and apply it entrepreneurially. Create your own job. Create jobs. Never been more alive in this world today with the internet, where every single one of us are on equal footing with everybody else on the planet. And I will tell you right now that government plays a role in determining winners and losers. That's crony capitalism. When government injects itself into the economy, when it picks winners and losers, that's when we lose. So there's equal opportunity when it comes to the internet. I have to tell you, there's all sorts of legislation pending that will not make the internet the equal opportunity hub that it is currently. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, when it comes to being able to make a shot at it, count on Bill Weld and myself to make that easier, not harder. Economy. That's the model of the future. The model of the future is Uber. It's Uber everything. It's Uber everything. It's eliminating the middleman. It's allowing you as the direct provider of goods and services to the end user. End user ends up paying less money. You as the provider, you end up making more money. Eliminate the middleman. Uber, sharing economy, Airbnb. The entire world wants to go and visit Denver. I gotta tell you, all of us have an opportunity with regard to the sharing economy to rent your place out for the weekend. I was talking to a young woman in Baltimore who got her PhD in science, and she said, I have these horrible student debts, but I figured out a way to pay back the student debts. Airbnb, I was renting my place out, and I was going to pay back these student debts. Well, the city of Baltimore came in and banned Airbnb. Well, that's what government, yeah, it is boo, but that's what's happening. That's the difference in politics right now, is promoting each and every one of us equal opportunity in this economy. And that is something that government can provide. I just think we've seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the sharing economy. And when it comes to certainty, look, if we elect Hillary Clinton as President of the United States, with certainty, taxes are not going to go down, they're going to go up. With certainty, government is going to provide more answers to all of our lives because government knows best. That is with certainty, the certainty of Hillary Clinton. And with Donald Trump, there's the certainty of complete uncertainty. I have no idea. Of lower taxes, the certainty that rules and regulations are going to only get better. Look, rules and regulations, health, safety, there are rules, there are regulations that all of us want to see in place, but there are rules and regulations that bottom line just add time and money to our lives and they just don't accomplish a thing. Count on certainty that those things are not going to happen with myself and Bill Weld. And in that environment, I believe that lots of jobs get created in this country. There are three scenarios. There are three scenarios in this election. The three scenarios are Trump or Clinton, and the polarity that exists in Congress today. Does anybody think that that polarity is going to get any better? No, it's not. There's no way. So, third scenario. Johnson, Will, Libertarians, right down the center. Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. Look, it's not going to be about politics. We don't want to kill the other side. That's what the two of them are engaged in, is killing one another. Look, right down the middle, calling out both sides to come to the middle and deal with the issues facing this country. I think that if you look at that third scenario, that third scenario actually has the possibility of working. I really do believe that. With Donald Trump on the number one issue that he has in his campaign. I agree with Hillary Clinton on the number one issue that she has in the campaign. Don't vote for Trump, don't vote for Clinton. Pocketbook. Keep government out of my bedroom. Fiscally conservative. What's fiscally conservative about? Why balance the federal budget? Bill Weld and I are pledging to submit a balanced budget to Congress. You submit a balanced budget to Congress because of young people. And we're now tied for the lead with millennials. And by tied, we've come up to Hillary Clinton to be tied with millennials. I think that that's going to, that we're going to lead in that category going into the election. And you're going to pay for it, and oh, I don't really care if it's going to be around for you or not. Look, it's not an option to not address these issues. We're headed to bankruptcy, and bankruptcy is going to manifest itself in inflation. It's printing money. It's more money in the system to buy the same goods and services. That results in higher costs, and that's the worst tax of all, is all the money that you save all of a sudden isn't worth as much, and it happens very, very quickly. And that's inflation, and that's the result if we don't be fiscally conservative, if we don't strive for a balanced budget. I believe in a healthcare safety net. I believe in Social Security, but there have to be reforms, and there can be some very common sense reforms. I mean, raising the retirement age, you can have copay, a lot of things that can be done, but if we do nothing, it won't be around for future generations. And then with regard to the military itself, the Pentagon itself, in the mid-90s, implemented the BRAC Commission. And they themselves said that 20-25% more U.S. bases could be closed, but there hasn't been the will to do that. Look, we will have an absolutely invincible national defense, but let's stop being the world policeman. We are a country of immigrants. Let's embrace immigration. undocumented workers in this country. The main reason why there are 11 million undocumented workers in this country is because government has made it impossible to get a work visa. Can't get a work visa, so you can't get across the border to take jobs that do exist. So if you or I were in that same situation, we'd be doing the same thing. We'd be crossing without that documentation to take those jobs because we would be taking care of our families in the same way that they are. To get a work visa. Don't put the government in charge of quotas, work visa, background checks, social security card, the taxes get paid, and don't build a wall across the border. We build a wall across the border. The president of Mexico is rightfully going to stand on the other side of that wall and say, Mr. President, Ms. President, take that wall down, and that president of Mexico is going to be on the right side of history. Crony capitalism is alive and well. Crony capitalism is when government picks winners and losers. Government's for sale, and I will tell you, it doesn't have to be. I will tell you, having served 8 years as governor of New Mexico, crony capitalism died the day I took office. And would die the day I take office. If I take office as President of the United States, it would die. What government can provide equal opportunity. And I have to tell you that it's for sale. Government is for sale. Those with money, those with influence, pay for legislation that give more money, give more influence, and it doesn't have to be that way. I believe that term limits is a silver bullet. If we had term limits, politicians would do the right thing as opposed to whatever it takes to get reelected. We would not have a $20 trillion debt today if term limits were in place. Believing in free markets. Healthcare. Look, with regard to healthcare, what needs to take place with regard to healthcare is a genuine free market approach to healthcare, which, by the way, healthcare is as far removed from the free market as it possibly can be. But a free market for healthcare, what would that look like? Well, we would not have insurance to cover ourselves for ongoing medical need. We would have insurance to cover ourselves for catastrophic injury and illness, and we would pay as you go in a system that would be very competitive. So government can blow the lid off of supply, can blow the lid, creating equal opportunity, can create a lot of competition when it comes to healthcare. If we had genuine competition when it came to healthcare, I'm going to guess that we would pay about 1/5 of what we're currently paying for healthcare. Pricing, you'd have advertised outcomes. Right now, I agree with Chief Justice Roberts that President Obama's health care plan is a tax. My insurance premiums have quadrupled. I haven't been to see a doctor until 2 weeks ago in 2 years, but I have been to see a doctor because of the physical, to say that I'm in good enough shape here to run for president. What it's going to cost. The person at the desk has no idea what it's going to cost. And when we get the bill, we know that nobody's really going to pay that bill. If we had advertised pricing, advertised outcomes, we would have stitches are us. Yep. We'd have gallbladders are us. We'd have x-rays are us. We'd have advertised pricing, advertised outcomes. We would have, government could blow the lid off the supply of doctors. There aren't enough doctors. There aren't enough alternatives to the medicine that we currently have in this country, which deals with the end result. And keeping in that same vein, education, the notion of different education, the notion of competition and alternatives when it comes to education, and alternatives that you as individuals, me as individuals, always coming down on the side of choice with regard to everything. You and I being able to make choices. So choices within education. So what should the federal government do to accommodate this? It should get out of the education business. This is strictly a dollars and cents thing. Colorado sends Washington 13 cents. And then Colorado gets back 11 cents. This is the Department of Education. Bureaucratic wash and dry cycle. Do you like that exchange? What do you get back? 11 cents. You gave 13 cents. And then they say that you have to do A, B, C, D to get your 11 cents, and it costs you 15 cents to accommodate the 11 cents. Why not let Colorado keep the 6 cents in the first place and determine how education should be delivered in Colorado? Going on in all 50 states, guess what? There would be some fabulous success that would get emulated by other states. But the notion that Washington, one size fits all, it doesn't work. So there are alternatives that are needed when it comes to education. Who best determines those alternatives? You do. You do. The community of Denver, the state of federal government that housing and urban development, what do they do? What do they do? The Department of Commerce, really, I think that is crony capitalism kind of at its peak, and there are some things that need to survive in these various departments, but not the entire department. So, Department of Commerce. Homeland Security, combining 22 different agencies is just another federal bureaucracy that I have to tell you, when I saw armed Homeland Security uniformed agents on the street in Denver, what are they doing? What are they doing? It just seems to me that this is just government gone awry. In the private sector, in business, things go wrong, reorganizations go wrong, businesses say, oh, we made a mistake, we're going to correct this. We never correct anything that we do in government. We just fiscally conservative, socially inclusive, always coming down on the side of you and I as human beings to make choices in our lives, period. We should be able to make choices in our lives regardless of those choices, as long as those choices don't put other people in harm's way. Believing in marriage equality, that it is a constitutional right. How can there be a more difficult decision in anyone's life other than abortion? And when I say anyone's life, the woman involved, how can there be a more difficult decision than the woman involved having to make that decision? But who, other than the woman involved, should be making that decision? Rock, you legalized marijuana. We have the highest incarceration rate of any country in the world. We have 2.3 million people behind bars in this country. I refuse to believe we are any less law-abiding in this country than any other country in the world, and its roots lie in the drug war. California votes to legalize it this fall, and when they do that, I do see that as the tipping point, but you led the way. You rocked. more, but let me say this, all right? All lives matter. Black lives matter. If you're white. If you are of color and you are arrested on drug-related crime, there's a 4 times more likelihood that you will end up behind bars than if you are white. There is a discrimination that is taking place when a person of color is pulled over. When you're black, you know what? I don't get taken out of the car by the collar, and if I was, I might get so upset that I'm going to end up with cuffs on. I'm not subject to that, but blacks are, and that's why it matters. So this is an issue that we're facing. It's an issue of awareness. I think we're going to come to grips with this as a country quicker and remedy it in really constructive ways. As President of the United States, being able to direct the Department of Justice, what are the threads where there's the least amount of discrimination, the least amount of violence? What are the threads where there's more discrimination, more violence? I think the Federal Department of Education can actually play a leading role in making this happen. I absolutely support the Second Amendment to the Constitution. That really is about limiting the power of government. That's the kind of it's about protecting minority rights against the will of the majority. That's the Constitution of the United States. With regard to guns, we should be open to a discussion, to a debate on how we keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. We need to be open to a debate and a discussion on how we keep guns out of the hands of would-be terrorists. As President of the United States, I would love to know what transpired between the FBI and the shooter in Orlando, given the fact that the FBI is involved in these cases at some point. But it's a breakdown at some point. And it's why I loved being governor. I loved the job, being right in the middle, being the arbiter-in-chief, being the common sense guy, you know, that, well, gee, if it's an issue of more resources, what is the issue, and drive the issue that would actually improve these situations. I think what's really significant is among active military personnel, in the last 3 polls conducted among active military personnel, I am their choice to be the next commander. Shout out to everybody in this room that's a veteran. It's a shout out to everyone in this room. Is what you end up doing, which is defending the rest of us, and we're all grateful for you for that. Based on what I know, I would pardon Edward Snowden. When you tell the truth, I've been really well served by telling the truth. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I think the one unforgivable in life is hypocrisy. Saying one thing and doing another. Bill Weldon and I are not hypocrites. But in the context of telling the truth, that means that we all make mistakes. So in the context of telling the truth, it's saying, you know what, I made a mistake. I made a mistake, Here's the mistake I made. Here's why I'm changing my mind regarding this. Transparency, made a mistake. Personally, I made a mistake when it came to the death penalty. I really thought naively that we were only punishing those that had committed the crime of warranted by the death penalty. Well, it turns out that there's as much as a 4% error rate in the death penalty. I don't want to put one innocent person to death to punish 999 that are guilty, much less put 4 innocent people to death to punish 96. Public policy. I found out as governor that it costs more to put a person on death row than it does to lock them up for the rest of their lives because of the attorney fees involved with the appeals and everything that goes along with it. Well, at first I was outraged over that fact, but then when you come to find out that someone is released from death row, released from prison because they've been categorically proven to be innocent, what value do you put on attorney fees? They become invaluable. They become priceless. In the mid-90s, Governor Ryan from Illinois ordered a review of 36 inmates on death row because of DNA testing. Because of DNA testing, over 20 of them were released from prison because they were proven to be innocent. This, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but it's flawed public policy. Really want to be putting innocent people to death? No, I don't know. Has life in this country ever been better? I mean, really. We get along with one another better. We communicate with one another better. Our kids are smarter than ever. And yeah, we got issues, but we're dealing with those issues. The number one law enforcement tool right now that we all have are our smartphones. And it's working. We're becoming incredibly aware. The internet, social media. It's an amazing, amazing time to be alive. As president, I am pledging to be the most frugal president of any one of our lifetimes. By example, and I can't imagine how many times the President of the United States has flown into Denver and just snarled traffic everywhere for hours and hours. There's a smarter way to travel. There's a smarter way to spend less money as President of the United States, and I'm going to master that one. That's Eric said this earlier. Denver and Colorado. Denver is the most vibrant city in the entire United States. I think it's the legalization of marijuana, but it's not the legalization of marijuana. It's that Coloradans are free. We can do what we want here. We can live our lives as we see fit.
Hey guys, my name is Adam Hammond. I work with the ABC station here in Denver. We're covering Gary Johnson's rally, about a packed room here. We're going to look back in and see how things are going. Gary Johnson! Gary Johnson down there mingling with the crowd right now. And Colorado is an all-important swing state. So one of the things we're looking at today is how Trump and Clinton are running neck and neck here. They're tied in the polls despite the debates, despite everything else. Gary Johnson is polling pretty high here, 14% right now. He's in the teens. This could be a huge factor in the election. Could he carry the state? Full of millennials. We're taking a look tonight at 10 at how millennials are impacting this election. A lot of young people here in this room with Gary Johnson tonight. And let us know where you're watching from. People are watching from all over the country. We've seen South Carolina. We've seen Chicago. We've seen California. We've seen North Carolina, Ohio. Here in Colorado, we are keeping our close eye on this election because Gary Johnson could have a huge impact on it. Gary Johnson says he is going to take this state. I had a one-on-one interview with him earlier today. He addressed everything. He talked about the foreign policy gaffes of Aleppo, of not being able to name a foreign leader that he looked up to. Very smartly, he turned those around and said, hey, I'm not in nation building. I'm not trying to take us places we don't need to be. And right now they're talking to the crowd here about how they can register to vote. And I'm going to get down off this platform. I've talked to several people here tonight. about that whole wasted vote issue. You know, that's what a lot of people have been saying. Are you wasting your vote if you vote for Gary Johnson? They say we're tired of not wasting our vote, quote unquote. We want to vote who we identify with, who we find the most in common with their platform, and that's what they're doing right now. And they don't care what that means. They say if everybody does that, then he would win. That's what they say. They say, when I was talking to him earlier in our interview, he said most Americans would fall in line with the Libertarian Party because they are fiscally conservative and socially inclusive, is what he calls it. A little more liberal on the social end of things as it comes to marriage and it comes to reproductive issues. So we're going to talk to a few people here tonight about what they thought about this rally. Hey, can I ask you, what did you think about the rally?
It was awesome.
Did you get fired up?
Yeah.
Were you undecided voters going in?
No, I've been fired up the whole time.
Okay, awesome. Now, he talked a lot about the military and veterans, and he says he's leading among active military.
A veteran myself.
Really, you're a veteran. Thank you for your service. First of all, tell me about that. Why, as a veteran, do you support Gary Johnson?
I like limited government. I think there's certain places we need to be, but we need to focus on ourselves. So.
Awesome. Are a lot of your other military buddies, are they feeling the same way or what?
It's getting there, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I have a sweaty hand. I've been holding this phone for like an hour. Thank you guys for joining us. We're here at the Gary Johnson for President rally in Parker, Colorado. This is about 20 minutes outside of Denver. Tell us where you're watching from. What did you think about the rally tonight? We're the only place, I believe, that live streamed it in its entirety here. You can watch it back from the beginning if you want. Even his website did not have a live stream of this tonight. So make sure you watch here. Watch from the beginning if you want to see it. We heard from his son. His son spoke, talks a little bit about Gary Johnson as the man. You know, he climbed Mount Everest, just a lot of really cool things. He said he has 9 1/4 toe because of frostbite when he was climbing Mount Everest. And we're just out here talking. Hey, I want to introduce you to somebody I met before. Okay, this is my buddy right here. He's here with his mom. He's so excited. This is his first presidential candidate rally. What did you think?
It was good.
What did you think? Did you get fired up? Do you wish you could vote?
Yeah, I wish I could vote. And right before the end, I had to move because I couldn't see, and I was really excited to see.
Awesome. And earlier I asked him what he was doing here, and he said he just wanted to spend some time with his mom. Mom's got to be proud back there. Very sweet. What'd you think about it, Mom?
I like that he's not nasty. Let's start there.
And you could bring your child.
And I can bring my child. They got to watch the cockfight on TV last week, so let's see nice.
Okay, we have people watching right now from all over the country, and they keep #LetGaryDebate. What do you think about that?
I wonder what they're scared of. Yeah, what are they scared of? What harm can come from it?
And, you know, this whole wasted vote issue, a lot of people are saying it's a waste of a vote if you vote for Gary Johnson. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't vote for Herod or Nero. Kind of where I'm sitting. So let's hear what he has to say. I know who I won't vote for. I'm not sure who I will vote for yet, but I know who I'm not. And the wasted vote, I think that's a scare tactic.
So basically what you're saying is Gary Johnson or nothing.
I have yet to determine 100%. But I know which one of the other two is not going to get my vote. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I see where you're at. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Awesome job. You're raising a great boy.
picture with Gary?
Well, I don't have that kind of pull. I wish I could. Hey, tell your teacher you need some extra credit, right?
Got it.
Yeah, he's gonna get it.
We should have somebody speaking about Bill Weldon.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. What do you think about the rally?
Well, I have the pleasure of serving 7 years in the Republican administration in Massachusetts under Bill Weldon as governor.
Oh really?
So I can vouch for his integrity, his intelligence. He was a scary guy to work for. He knew so many details about so many little bits and pieces of government. You think, how the hell does a governor sitting up here know what's going on down there?
Yeah.
But that was Bill Weldon. And
Awesome.
he can take that talent to Washington.
Awesome.
I'm
Great.
with it.
Well, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. And if you didn't see the 60 Minutes with Bill Weld and Gary Johnson, they talked a little bit about how they would co-presidency kind of. It would be kind of a different, step into somebody's picture. It'd be kind of a different format. So we're just chatting with people out here tonight. One of the big things we're focusing on here is millennials. A lot of millennial support here in Colorado. It's a fast-growing group. And you may not know this. Millennials, the voting bloc of eligible voters, now is as big as the baby boomers. So they could really pull the election in one way. The only difference is baby boomers turn out about 70% to vote. Millennials, it's more in the 20%. So that's kind of where they shoot themselves in the foot. But we're going to see this election, what it means, where we're going to stand as far as millennials and baby boomers voting. I'm going to come back up here on the, this is the media, that's the media platform. We were back here. Gary Johnson's on that end. And thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. Again, we're one of the only places that live stream the entire event. So make sure you watch from the beginning. Colorado is such an important state this election. It's a swing state, and Gary Johnson could have a big say in who wins this state. Will it be him? Will it be Trump? Will it be Clinton? We're going to have to wait and see. I'm Adam Hammond. Make sure you like my page, subscribe, and the fun will continue tomorrow. Have a nice night.